Hello and good day, everyone. Welcome to the first ever episode of The Wong Way, Not the Wrong Way. My name is Elder Reyes. I'm a commercial banker and a corporate and special events MC, and it is my absolute pleasure to be your podcast host for today. Together with me is the owner of the HR consulting and recruitment company Modern People Solutions. Let us all welcome Wilson Wong. Hi, Wilson.
Hi, everyone.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yourself?
Good. Thank you so much. So, we know that Modern People Solutions has been existing for years already. So, what made you join podcast now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the reason why I wanted to create the podcast, there's actually two reasons behind it. So one is actually provide businesses with insightful business tips from other business professionals. So for today, I'm actually going to be talking about human resources and recruitment tips. And the second reason why I wanted to create the podcast was, if you basically think about, when you try to find a business to help you, whether it's on the, professional side or the personal side, where do you kind of go to find them?
Well, probably Google or ask people, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's usually a common one. So the other benefit is with the podcast, I'm trying to actually create a community. And with that community, you'll actually be able to reach out to vetted business professionals. So if you have a challenge with a certain business topic, basically those people who are vetted, those are people generally that I've either worked with, collaborate with, or that I've known over the years.
Awesome. So that's a good way for you to put your business out there more to every generation. So now, we are curious. What does Modern People Solutions actually do?
Yeah, it might seem like an odd way to start off the conversation, but have you ever gone on a bad date?
Yeah, and it is definitely not a good experience, very negative, and you don't want to do it again.
Exactly. So that's what we're trying to help businesses with, is to prevent a bad date, in which this case is a bad hire. So Modern People Solutions, we're essentially like a matchmaker connecting businesses with the right employees and also HR solutions at work. So to give everyone a few examples, if you're a small business and you don't have the really need essentially for a full-time HR person, we can help out on a part-time basis. We can also help out on a project basis. And then if you have a full HR department, we've also helped companies with HR strategies, do the implementation, and also the execution of it. So some companies might have challenges with developing the right culture for the company. Some other ones might need help with compensation benchmarking to make sure they're competitive, or just building the strategy for the company on the HR side to support the company's goals. The key industries that we deal with are the automotive side. We also deal with a lot of agriculture equipment dealerships, construction, and we also work with professional practices.
Oh, okay, so it's a full service HR solutions, not just hiring people.
That's correct. Yeah, it's a pretty broad scope, both HR and recruitment.
All right, sounds good. So we kind of have a background about what Modern People Solutions does, but we want to understand and know, Wilson, what made you start Modern People Solutions and what makes it unique compared to any other HR companies out there?
Yeah, so when someone mentions HR to you, what are maybe like the first few things that kind of pop in your mind?
HR for me is like, it's a team or it's a group of people that watches at every little thing that every employee does to make sure you don't else you're going to be fired. That's how I feel about HR.
Yeah, so some people could relate to that. I actually worked before internally at a company and had one person in IT actually refer to the HR department as a Grim Reaper.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that definitely obviously is not a good comparison. So what I like to actually do with my business is to make it actually a difference in terms of getting to know the employees, getting to know like the business owners and also the managers. And that way you can actually build trust. I find the keys to HR is building trust with employees and the leaders and also nurturing relationships. That basically allows people to afterwards to actually, open up and feel more comfortable to like share their ideas and also for us to find solutions together.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with that. Now that kind of changes how I see HR more, not just the Grim Reaper, but actually like the nurture, the most important really part of partnership or partners in your business, right?
Absolutely.
That's good. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, Wilson. What's your background? Anything that is important or like interesting for us to know?
So I actually had the opportunity to grow up in LA.
LA? Like LA outside Canada?
Not quite. Lethbridge, Alberta. So if anyone's been to Lethbridge before, roughly 2.5 hours south of Calgary. So I actually grew up around the agriculture industry, where I had some friends who actually grew up on the colony. I still have a number of friends who actually farm to this day still. And it was really helpful because a lot of businesses that I've dealt with have actually operated in the agriculture equipment industry space.
Oh, that's good. So you're very knowledgeable kind of in that area, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it really helped open the doors, because then I was able to start, helping construction, equipment dealerships, materials handling.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. And then the other parts, people you might know already too, but I have a dual major in human resources and general management from Mount Royal University. And for anyone who's familiar with the CPA designation for accountants, there's also an HR version, and it's called the CPHR.
Oh, wow. I didn't know about that until you mentioned that there is actually kind of that equivalence when it comes to human resources.
Yeah, definitely. And then the other one, I'm sure, everyone's probably taken some form of a personality assessment in the past. So I've actually been certified in one. It's called Predictive Index.
So is that the kind of the form or the things that employees answer to tell you guys of my characteristic or my personality?
Exactly. Yeah. With Predictive Index, it basically tells you about the employee's work style, and then also how the teams actually could work together or maybe would not work together so well.
That's good.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've known Wilson for some time. I know how he interacts with people, and it's just so innate in him to actually build that relationship. He has built the trust, and he's known in the industry. So I feel like that is something that I want people to know about you, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All right, so that's good. You have all the related education, certification, and experiences to totally bring that good solutions for your clients. So now you deal with a lot of businesses. I deal with a lot of businesses. In regards to HR solutions, what are the most common challenges you are seeing, and how do you help solve this problem right now?
Yeah, so there's actually a pretty long list. So I, won't make it into a 3-hour podcast. So I'll just highlight the top 3 that I'd like to focus on today. So one is attracting skilled employees. The second one is, once you get those really good employees, is keeping them, which is retention. And then the last one is employee development, which is training and development. So when everyone kind of thinks about it, if you go on Indeed, there's hundreds, if not thousands of job postings out there. There's tons of employers trying to look for the same, types of, employees. So there's definitely a lot of competition out there. So what businesses actually need to do is to actually stand out, and it's done through 2 ways. So one is the employer branding. Mm-hmm. So if everyone basically thinks about, kind of the top company that comes to mind that they'd really like to work for, chances are that company did a really good job of employer branding. So they might have done a lot of marketing. They probably talked about their employee culture that they build. And they also talk about how they also look after their employees. Or they might have some other special things that they do to stand out. And then the other aspect that we need to look at too is the employer value proposition. Mm-hmm. So when everyone goes to buy a laptop out there, you can choose that, $1,600, $1,700 MacBook, or you can choose that really basic $400 laptop. But when people have those choices and they're kind of comparing, right? Obviously the cost is one factor, but one of the key actually factors is the competitive advantage. And also the other one that we should look at as well too is the product differentiation, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So when we look at the, competitive advantage, that's basically the employer's value proposition. So what is the employer going to do for employees to benefit them more than the other, companies they're competing against? So that also ties into the third part, which is about employee development, right? Mm-hmm. So investing in those employees, giving them growth opportunities, right? And spending the time to train and coach them as well to make them, into a more skilled employee, which also makes the business more profitable.
Yeah, I feel like for me as an employee, right? It's important that I know that there's a path for me towards success and moving up in my career. So aside from just benefits, it's the whole offering of the company, right? So it's really good that you kind of work on those things, and we'll be discussing and is discussing about it.
Definitely. And then the last one I'll just touch on was the second option there, which is retention. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of different parts that come into play when we look at retention. To give you a story, I was actually helping a client recently with some hiring for a position. And I actually had interviewed 3 candidates, which were actually with their competitors. So I interviewed those 3 candidates, and actually all 3 were leaving because of the manager's management style that they didn't prefer. A lot of times, sometimes an operations manager might do the exit survey. The employer might tell them they're leaving for an extra $2 an hour. But that's actually a number of times not true. Because if you think about it this way, if you weren't happy with your manager, would you straight up tell them you didn't like their management style in the exit survey?
Yeah, that's true.
And then if the HR department's doing your exit survey and the HR department's a key driver, in building that organizational culture, would you want to tell the HR department you didn't like the organizational culture?
That's true. And at the same time, if you are applying for a different job and they say we needed a reference, would you even actually tell them, hey, you guys suck, but then you needed that good reference, right?
Exactly. And then the other thing that we need to look at as well too is if that employee really was leaving for $2 an hour, why didn't they just tell you they want an extra $2 an hour and stay?
Yeah, exactly. There must be a deeper reason than just the monetary amount, right?
Absolutely. And that basically builds into, a few discussion points around retention. So one is actually building trust with the employees, making sure that they feel heard. You're also trying to get to know them on a personal basis. And it sounds really simple, but it actually takes, quite a bit to actually build a really deep trust with employees where they feel comfortable opening up. The compensation designed to make sure we're rewarding employees effectively. And there's quite a few other ones I could go into, but I'll kind of leave it at that.
Okay, sounds good. So with all that said, can you give us an example of some success stories of the businesses that you have helped?
Yeah, there's actually been a lot, but maybe just to focus on 2. So I helped one company, and when we look at organizational culture, they had a lot of tension between employees and also getting them on track to work towards like the vision that they had also planned. And it caused basically a lot of stress for the business owner because they were trying to, get all these employees to work together. And there's a lot of things to work on in general when you own or manage your own business. So I was actually able to take away a lot of that stress and actually help them. So on the business side, their business actually was only after a few months running a lot smoother. The employees were working together. They were all going towards the same vision / kind of direction. And then the other ones I've dealt with too, I had one business I was working with, and they had one location that was actually losing money every year over year.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I basically helped them hire the right management team. We also had to make some changes as well too. And we also put an HR strategy in place in terms of developing employees. And within 6 months, they were actually profitable.
They must have really seen the value of the service that you have provided, from losing money to now one of the successful branches, just like what you mentioned. So that's amazing.
Oh, absolutely. One thing that people may not always understand is HR actually, has a significant increase in terms of being able to help a business become more profitable.
That's good. And, we have been chatting about a lot of things, a lot of businesses, processes, strategies, and things like that. And I remember one time, Wilson, you've mentioned to me about that employee that you were able to help. And he told you, because for me, I had goosebumps when you said that you've actually changed his life. I think that's something worth telling.
Oh, absolutely. And that's actually one of the reasons why I got into HR, because I'm really passionate about helping people, helping businesses, finding solutions, and also making a difference. So that one person you're referring to reached out to me about roughly a few weeks ago. And on paper, he didn't have an ideal, resume in terms of what we were looking for. But I saw he had a lot of the key skills that we needed that were transferable. And he also had the right characteristics. So we gave him an opportunity. And within 1 year, he was actually the top performer in the company.
Yeah. And I think that's when, the tips that you are planning to do in this podcast that makes it unique, is because there are certain things that paper cannot only show. There are things that's why you took all this PI certification, your degrees, and years of experience adding up together to finding the right people and matching them with the business.
Oh, absolutely. It's something that I love to do that I'm really passionate about.
That's good. So how can people get in touch with you if they have more questions in regards to HR and recruitment and all these strategies relating business?
So there's a few ways I can reach out. I love to connect with people, whether it's grabbing a coffee or even just doing a video call. They can call my cell phone number or send me a text. It's 587-225-2732. They can also send me an email, which is wilson@mpeoplesolutions.com.
Sounds good. So if you are a business that is struggling right now to attract, retain, engage, or develop your employees, we'd love to connect with you over coffee or call. So please feel free to reach out to Wilson Wong for Wong Way, Not the Wrong Way podcast. We're also looking for established business professionals to be speakers. So if you're interested, right, feel free to reach out. Ideally, it will be businesses that service businesses in the agriculture, equipment space, the construction industry, automotive, or professional practices. So we're looking forward to more episodes with you, Wilson. Can't wait for more of those tips, the wrong ways that will help businesses not go the wrong way.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, LD.
Thank you so much, everyone.